Hello, alongside Ryan, sir. I'm Don Helbig, and welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest and top stories from the attractions and amusement industry.
Thanks, Don. And before we get started with today's news, I want to remind you that we can be found on all your favorite podcast apps: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube Music, and so on. And we can be found on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and thanks for being with us. Don, why don't you start off with story number one?
Story number one: Six Flags Entertainment and Cedar Fair, amid the Department of Justice merger review, received a second request for information. In the context of increased antitrust scrutiny, the merger, valued at $8 billion, faces challenges amid post-pandemic consumer caution. Both companies aim to fulfill the DOJ's request by May 2nd, anticipating the merger's completion in the first half of 2024, despite regulatory complexities.
And complexities they are when it comes to the Department of Justice. Um, I can't really speculate on what exactly is going on, but I imagine that speed bumps like this would be anticipated with a merger of that size.
Yeah, when it is that size, you're right. I mean, it's kind of, I guess, standard procedure with it. I think it'll, it's still going to close. It is going to be a little bit later than maybe they had mentioned back in November when this was first announced, that they were hoping early or late first quarter, somewhere March, April type range. So now we're going to be looking at late May, June, or July, but it's going to get done.
Right. And I guess from a guest standpoint, it doesn't really matter because they wouldn't see the effects for another year or so. But moving right along, we'll be following that topic, by the way. Lord knows that's the biggest news in the industry right now. But sticking with Cedar Fair, Cedar Point has announced that Winter Chill Out will be returning on February 24th. This is an annual event that features a walking tour of the park during the winter when it's closed. It lets people have views of behind the scenes areas, and that's going to have an exclusive look at the new Top Thrill 2. Um, it's a new credit this year, according to most, including me. Winter Chill Out supports A Kid Again, which is an organization that helps kids with terminal illnesses have really good experiences and kind of forget about their problems for a little while. But due to high demand, they're implementing a lottery system. The lottery is going to determine who gets to purchase tickets. Individuals interested in purchasing
Mm.
will be asked to visit Winter Chill Out's events page on Cedar Point's website from January 22nd at 10 a.m. until January 24th at 10 a.m. to enter for the opportunity to purchase a ticket. I've never been to Winter Chill Out, but it's super on my bucket list. Everyone who goes loves it.
Yeah, they do. Now this year it went from a 2-day event to 1 day, and there was a lot of reasons behind that. But you think about Cedar Point, and at this time of the year, the weekends off. That the full time staff that would have to be part of this, they're going to have to give up a weekend that they don't get many from the time the park opens, May all the way through the end of October. So you're really tasking a lot of people to be involved with this type of thing. So I understand the 1 day part of it. The one thing I don't understand though is, there was the price increase this year. Is the complaining about that I saw about it costs more, it's too expensive, it's this, it's for charity. So I think the fact that they're definitely going to still sell it out and everything like that, not going to be any problem there. But when there's something tied to charity, I never like hearing it costs too much. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. And regardless of where the proceeds go, I think that there's a producer and a consumer involved. And if it's priced too high for you, that's your prerogative. I mean, like you could have a 1 day ticket to the mall for $8,000 that goes to charity, and I wouldn't do it. So if it's out of your price range, like that's completely your prerogative. But you're right. I mean, to imply that Cedar Point is greedy or a kid isn't getting it is greedy or something like that is completely out of line. But it's going to be a great event. Again, everybody that goes seems to really like it. And I've never actually been to Cedar Point like in the winter or on the lakes in the winter and stuff. That's something I'd really like to try some year.
Consider yourself lucky in some respects. It gets so cold
Absolutely. Yeah.
and sandusky in the months of January, February, March, even into April. It's really cold, but it's a great experience. You do get to see the park in a way that that you don't get to. You get to go through and see some of the maintenance on the rides. You get to hear from guest speakers. So it's a phenomenal experience. And those of you that get selected in this lottery system, if you haven't been there before, you're just going to have a great time, and you're going to have plenty of photo opportunities.
Yeah, fantastic. Moving right along, story number 3, Don.
Lake Compounds in Bristol, Connecticut, that's where ESPN is located, is set to retire the bumper cars, trolley, and Jolly Jester. These attractions are going to be retired to make way for new additions. The Wildcat roller coaster will undergo track renovations, and Boulder Dash will receive updates with over 800 feet of steel Titan track. The park has not disclosed about what the replacements are going to be for these retired attractions, but I'm excited about Boulder Dash and the treatment that that's going to get. That's a great roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Lake Compounce is one of those. It's one of the northeastern, shall we say, states, and I haven't been to it yet. So, but it's one of those classic old timey feeling theme parks, from what I understand. I mean, you've been there. You can probably
Very
confirm
much,
that.
yeah. I was fortunate that I got to go there a few times when I was working for hockey teams, and we would play in Hartford, not too far from there. And between games, if we got there the day earlier, we stayed a day later, something like that, I was able to slip over there a couple times. Made some trips there in the 1980s. Really nice park. I like it. Hope to get back there this summer. But Boulder Dash, one of the best wooden roller coasters that I've been on. Just so much fun, and to see that they're continuing to put the care into it to keep it around for future generations, love that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So moving along again, story number 4. Tiana's Bayou Adventure now has dedicated pages on Walt Disney World and Disneyland Resorts websites. This is now confirming that it has a 40-inch height requirement. The page includes familiar concept arts and a concise description of the attraction. Join Princess Tiana and Louis for a Mardi Gras celebration in the shimmering bayou, meeting familiar faces and making new friends. Scheduled to open in Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World Resort in 2024. So I have heard nothing but people that don't, I mean, nobody knows that much about this attraction, but I watch a lot of like Disney YouTube and stuff, and people are calling it Tiana's Rainforest Cafe Adventure and stuff. But I almost feel like Disney's in a position where no matter what they do, it's never going to be good enough. So I have a feeling this is going to come out of left field and just really surprise people. What do you think?
I think so too. They're going to do it right. They're going to do it very well. I think when you had that iconic attraction that a lot of people uh, knew very well at the Magic Kingdom with Splash Mountain, it was an all-time favorite. Anytime you replace that with something different, there's going to be that scrutiny, that guests not happy about it, wanting to kind of down what's replacing it until they experience it. And you see that a lot. And then once they experience a new attraction, oftentimes they like it better than what it was before. So I'm looking forward to it. I love Splash Mountain. I understand, the reasoning for the change and everything like that. It was getting to that point. It did need to be kind of freshened up a little bit, needed some refurbishment. So, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's weird about the Splash Mountain situation is the whole, like, zippity-doo-dah thing. That was, like, Disney World's theme when I was growing up, and to think that the ride, I mean, obviously, the movie is something they wouldn't screen there, that's not aged well, but, um, the ride that featured that song is no longer a thing, and I that's just a little weird on me, but, again, it's if anything, they're moving out IP that nobody knows anything about in exchange for IP that's very popular in today's world. So, if anything, it's a good business decision. Forget the, socio-political whatever stuff involved with it.
Yep. And at the end of the day, you're still going to get soaked on the ride.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Or Universal Studios is going to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the iconic Universal Studios Backlot Tour, originally named the Universal Glamour Tram. It initially launched on July 4th, 1964. This attraction, now part of a comprehensive theme park out there in California, provided LA tourists with a 2-hour experience featuring a makeup demonstration, costume display by Edith Head, a two-man stunt performance, and a tour of outdoor film sets. Today, The tour is about 45 minutes. It's a ride within a larger theme park offering movie and TV inspired attractions.
Yeah, the tour was how that park got started from what I understand, is they started giving people tours of the back lot and zip ahead, and now they're tearing down sound stages to put in Harry Potter rides and stuff. Uh, I've done the tours in the Orlando parks, obviously, which are faux tours, but I haven't done this one. Have you ever done a backlot tour? There are more backlot tours available in LA than just the theme parks. Warner Brothers has one and so on, but have you ever gotten to do one of those?
I have. I did it back in 2003. I was out in Anaheim for the Stanley Cup Finals that year between the Anaheim Ducks and the New Jersey Devils, and had some time off between games and did one of the tours. It's a fun experience. I mean, I'd rather be out riding rides than that somewhere, but the tour was fun. It was educational. Got to see different things. It was kind of cool. What about you?
Well, like I said, I've done so I did the Disney's Hollywood Studios backlot tour, which is not by the time I wrote it, it was not really it was an attraction, you know. And
Hmm.
then by the time I started visiting Universal Studios Orlando, they had some stuff that was kind of like the elements of the tour. um Twister and stuff like that was, came birth from the tour experience. But no, I actually really want to do one. I want there's they've got Universal has it, Warner Brothers has it, and so on. And I love the logistics of movies and knowing that this building played six different parts in six different movies from six different time periods. I think that's fascinating, so I definitely want to check it out someday.
Yeah, highly recommend it. At least do it once.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 6. Let's move on. Number 6. So, SeaWorld Orlando gears up for Sesame Street Land's 5th birthday celebration, featuring character meet and greets, a new Sesame Street birthday parade, story time with Big Bird, crafts, and optional activities like the birthday breakfast bash and scavenger hunt. Special character interactions vary by date, starting with Snuffy on January 27th to February 4th. Other characters like Murray, Baby Bear, Honker, Dinger, Elmo, Cookie, and Abby Cadabby will be on Saturdays during the celebration. Admission to SeaWorld is required for the $34.99 birthday bash, featuring a diverse menu and includes a free photo per adult ticket. So I've been to SeaWorld twice in the last 2 years or so. And I did actually swing by Sesame Street Land, and it was almost nostalgic for me because it was so well done that I felt like I was in the show that I watched as a child. Have you gotten to see it in person yet?
Yes, and you're right. It is, going to rekindle those memories of you as a child. If you watch Sesame Street growing up, as a lot of us did. We've talked about it, Ryan, many times already on the podcast about, how good SeaWorld is and how it gets kind of lost in the shuffle there when you've got the Disney parks and you've got Universal and, Busch Gardens down the road and all those kind of places and things to do. But, it's right up there in terms of the experience. I mean, it's a great time. And if, you're in Central Florida, definitely put it on your list of things to do because, it's a really, nice park. It's a fun park. There's so much to see and do. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of those parks where if you go and you just ride the rides, you'll have a good time, but you won't have the full experience because you have to see the shows and the animals and the experiences and stuff. But one funny story, the last time I was at SeaWorld, and this was in late September, me and my friend Alex, so shout out to Alex if he's listening. We were there with our significant others, and they left to use the restroom or something. We're in Sesame Street World because that's where we hang out, I guess. And we both happened to be wearing red shirts, and in their theater, the theater facade is for character meet and greets. Well, it was Elmo in there, so we're like, whatever, let's take a picture with Elmo. So we went in there, took a picture, and we kind of like built rapport with this character of like, oh, we're all wearing red, we're on the same team. And when the two of them came back to meet up with us when they found us in this theater, Elmo was kept on pointing at our shirts and stuff, like all excited that we were wearing red like him. But I really I think that your overall SeaWorld is an awesome product, and the experience that you get at the Sesame Street World is really next level for them, especially because they built the facades and everything to look perfect, and you really feel like you're on the street. And what a win for them.
Now, you mentioned, growing up watching Sesame Street. Did you like Bert better or Ernie?
So gosh, I feel like you and I have had this discussion, but I don't know if it's on camera or off camera.
We never have. We never have. We never talked about Sesame Street until just now. We've never
I'm
talked about it.
surprised because I've always associated you with Sesame Street, but we've never discussed it. Anyway, I was an Ernie guy. Bert was always the logical one, and Ernie was the fun one. So I'm definitely an Ernie type of person. But every kid has their own character that they absolutely love. And mine is actually or was actually a character named Guy Smiley, which I don't think is on the show anymore. Maybe he is, but he's not original creation. But he used to have a talk show, and he would pop out from under the curtain, and it would like mess up his hair and stuff. And I always thought that that was awesome. But it's funny because they were selling Guy Smiley dolls in that theater where we met Elmo in that anecdote I just told you. So I almost bought one just for the nostalgia of it. Did you have a favorite character growing up,
That would have been Ernie,
Ernie?
from Sesame. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, he was more fun. I thought, Bert maybe a little too tightly wound. So Ernie was the character.
So here's a little factoid. Let me ask you this if you know this. This will come up playing bar trivia someday. So this you can take this one to the bank, anyone who's listening. Do you know the Cookie Monster's real name?
The Cookie Monster's
Yeah,
real
the
name.
not
Gosh.
the puppeteer or anything like that. The character actually has a name, but they've gone away from using it. He was just introduced as this name.
You know, I remember there being a name, but I'm at a loss. I mean, I can't conjure it up in my mind what that
All right,
was. What
you
was
ready
it,
for
Ryan?
it? The
Yeah.
Cookie Monster's real name is Sid.
Ah, yes. Sid. Okay. Yeah, now it's back. Okay,
Now it's
yeah.
back.
I
Okay.
just couldn't think of it. I couldn't think of it. It was just the Cookie Monster. But yeah, I like that character too, the Cookie Monster.
I did too. I've heard rumors that he's like the vegetable monster. Yeah, here's the thing. Like a lot of not really parents, because I feel like parents are smartened up to this, but people on the outside looking in are like, you shouldn't have a character on Sesame Street promoting eating only cookies to little kids. But unless things have changed a lot in the past like 35 years of me growing up, I always understood that the Cookie Monster was supposed to be absurd. That you couldn't eat cookies for every meal, and anybody that would want to do such a thing would probably have some sort of medical condition, or not medical, but like a mental condition. Because personally, if I eat too many sweets, and I've always been like this, I start to have a tummy ache. And I hope that Sid is doing okay with his BMI with all the cookies he eats. Don, enough about Sesame Street. I know it's your favorite subject, but we must move on. The listener question. And this one, I guess, is directed at you because it's not relevant to me. But the listener question's from William Coffey. He said, starting as a fan of Kings Island and then working there for years, how did this affect your personal time in the park? Did you feel the same when you visited off the clock? Did it ruin anything for you or make it any better for you? Now that's for you because I've never worked at the park. So let me ask you that.
Well, I mean, it didn't make any difference really. I mean, if I went out in the park to ride rides as a guest, um, you know, just right away I went right back into that mode. It didn't seem like anything had changed at all. And I think part of that would be because I was there a lot as a guest. It wasn't like I would go, once or twice a month or something, and then I think maybe there would have been more separation to it. But because I was there all the time and what I was doing with the racer, I was very involved with the marketing team, and I got to know, pretty much everybody that worked at the park full time. So when I started working there, on my first, I already knew who was in the buildings, who was in each office. I already knew all of those people. So it never really felt any different for me going from guest to working there, and then from working there back out in the park. It was all the same. And Ryan, there's times that you and I would, I would meet up with you and we'd ride rides and that, and it just was like I stepped back into the 1980s again. Nothing had changed. So appreciate the question and that, but no, I mean it was never any different. For me to go back out in the park.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's my perspective, and this is obviously a little bit skewed from yours. Is when I would have involvement at the park, mainly through you, If anything, it probably enhanced my enjoyment because I would take pride in that my park is doing this. So, when, the Robbie Knievel jump was successful with, when I was involved with that and so on, um, there was a pride aspect to it. So if anything, it enhanced. I imagine that's true for you too, when
Well, I mean, it was a little different, when there would be media events, like the Diamondback announcement, the band, Mystic Timbers, those kind of things. In that respect, I went from being somebody who was in the crowd, the anticipation, everything, what they were going to announce to the person who was putting that all together. So in that respect, yeah, that enhanced that because I got to put on for the guest the things that I enjoyed so much, in the 80s and the 90s until I started working there in 2007. So in that respect, yeah, I was enhanced a little bit because I was able to be in a position to give those experiences to people that I received, even like a B store, those kind of things that I was able to give those kind of things. So from that point, yeah, I was a little bit enhanced that way because I could take the things I enjoyed and then, do those things and see the guests enjoy it as much as I did.
absolutely. Yeah, and what I have in mind is like, from your standpoint, it's kind of like you saw the conceptualization, people being sold on, and the execution of, let's say, Phantom Theater Encore. And then you watch it and you see how happy people are. That has to bring you a sense of pride, you know?
Oh, it
I
did.
mean,
It
you're
did.
not the guy that produced the show, you didn't write the music, you didn't do anything like that, but the fact that, maybe you had a hand in advocating for it, or, um, a lot of these people were there because of your promotion and stuff, like, that's where I would imagine it would be, the extra level of excitement,
Yeah, that
essentially.
part. But in terms of though going from, leaving the office and then coming back into the park as a guest, whether it was that night or on a day I was off, I stepped back into that world of guest, and it was seamless. There wasn't any kind of, this is odd, this is, strange, or it took something away. None of that happened at all. It was
Perfect.
just a seamless transition, and I just went back in the guest world.
Awesome. Cool. Hey, thanks for the question. That's another pick six. Make sure that you follow us on all your channels, all the YouTubes and the Googles and the Apples and the Spotify's and so on. Hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll see you next week, everybody.